त्रिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। बुकारो अन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवांसस्तनूभिः विषेम देवहितं यतायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ प्रज्ञानां शुभ्रतानैः स्थिरचरनिकरव्याप्तिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्तविष्ठान् पुनरभितिष्णोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुङ्मायया भोजयन्नः मायासंज्ञास्तुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। यो विश्वात्मा विदियविषयान् प्राश्यभोगान् स्तविष्ठान् पश्चाच्चान्यान् स्वमिति विभवान् ज्योतिषा स्वेन सूक्ष्मान् सर्वानेतान् पुनरभिशनैः स्वात्मनि स्थापयित्वा हित्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् विगतगुणगणः पात्वसौ न स्थुरीयः। Namaste all of you. We are in the third section of Māṇḍūkya kārikā, which is a very important chapter which talks about the connection between the individual souls and the ultimate source or goal, which is connected by logically. By logic, we will attain the unity between the soul and the all-pervading Paramatman or the consciousness. So, I need to get connected with the current verse with the previous verses. Let me see. Advaita Prakaranam and yes. Advaita Prakaranam is the third Prakaranam of Māṇḍūkya kārikā. Mainly, the oneness between the individual soul and the all-pervading consciousness is brought out through logically. Applying logics and we call in Sanskrit yukti, having some sense when we apply certain things and we can accept it for our sense. This is called logic. So here, the Prakaranam started with the first verse of telling that a person who believes the first portion of Vedas are essential in one's life. For what? In order to become again Brahman. That means he himself concluded, or she himself concluded, that right now I am a limited person, but I can be unlimited by doing certain prayers and rituals which are seen in the first portion of Vedas or Karma Kanda. Then this person, one who has concluded oneself that I am now limited personality, a limited soul, my power is limited, my intellectual capacity is limited, my thinking capacity is limited, my faculties are also limited, but I can be unlimited as though I was in the previous time or in the previous, before becoming limited, I was unlimited. Similarly, I can be again unlimited by doing certain prayers and rituals which are presented by the first portion of Vedas. Then he is been called by the Acharya. He gives a name called Kripanaha. The word Kripana is used in many senses. One of the sense is one who is aviveki, who doesn't have the discrimination between the right and the wrong, which is real and the unreal, what is to be done and not to be done. One who is confused of both is called Kripanaha, one of the sense. And in that sense, we are going to take the entire portion. Wherever we see Kripanaha, it means that Avivehi, an indiscriminate personality, who is not understood, who cannot understand properly oneself, that he is right now itself unlimited Brahman. So he is called Kripanaha. Before the creation, I was unlimited and birthless supreme consciousness. Right now, I became limited. Due to certain reason, I took a birth of a male or a female. Now I have to do certain rituals and prayers and meditations in order to become again Ajam, the birthless individual, the birthless supreme consciousness. Thus, the individual get confused himself, and he is motivated by the rituals of the first portion. This was the meaning of the first verse. Second verse is a pratigna verse, promising that in this section, Advaita Prakaranam, definitely we are going to assimilate the knowledge about Brahman, which is Akarpanyam, which is not limited, which is not confused, which is completely born out of Viveka, discrimination. That which is only attained through discrimination and which is in the form of unlimited consciousness, we will say about that, I will say about that, because of this reason, entire humanity is confused about oneself because of what? Taking oneself as a limited human being. What is the point of becoming a confused personality? There is no confusion for myself or yourself. We can ask to the Shastram or to the Guru, the person who teaches. The point is when we are confused, we will go behind the object in order to attain happiness. Then it results in lot of ups and downs, and life will be full of unhappiness. Whenever there is a search for the external happiness, we are going to get more and more unhappiness because the confusion makes the person to go behind the external objects in order to get the happiness. And in reality, there is no happiness in the external objects. There is no fulfillment in external object. There is no solution by attaining external objects, which is the main drawback or the tragedy which is going to be attained by the human being if he is confused of, and I am limited personality. My happiness is lying outside. I should gain certain things and enjoy. Then only I can be happy. That is why we need to present the intrinsic nature of a human being, and it should get assimilated by logically by every human being who comes to study shastram, who come to study this non-duality under a traditional teacher. They should get fulfilled by the knowledge of oneself. So ataha, because of the reason what is told in the first verse, I will say akarpanyam. I will say the birthless Brahman, which is unlimited, ajadim samatang gatam. It is all pervading everywhere, and it is the one and only consciousness. Yathana jayade kinjid. Even though there is no birth for any names and forms, whatever we see in the world, it is just an illusion like the movie which is appearing in the white screen in the theater. The real thing which is there is only a white screen, but all other names and forms are mere appearance due to the technology. After knowing this, still I can enjoy the movie. Similarly, there is only one and only consciousness remaining in the entire world. There is no creation from the standpoint of ultimate reality. Even though there are names and forms all around in the form of creation, but it is only an apparent reality if you come to know the intrinsic nature of oneself. So, yathana jayade kinjit, because there is no birth of anything in the world, but it seems to be there is a creation and there are names and forms in the entire world. This is the second verse meaning. Now we are going to see today's meaning. Today's verse is third. I will read the verse and I'll give you the meaning and we will go through some bhashya sentences. Atma hyakashavad jivaihi gadakashirivoditaha gadadivachcha sankadir jatau yetat nitarshanam. Once more I will read. Atma hi akashavad jivaihi घटाकाशैरिवोदितः गडादिवच्छ सङ्गातैः जातौ एतत् निदर्शनम्. Nidarshanam. Example. In order to understand something which is not familiar for me, I never come across in my life a new thing. I just have some information listened from somebody. So I inquire about that object with somebody and he gives an example. It will be like this. this, it will be like that, it will be moving like this, it will be appearing like that. And also any anything which is familiar will become example. Example cannot be odd or unique. For example, if you want to make a person to know what is peacock, peacock is a bird having long feathers in the tail and having different colors in the wings and having a crested head, some having some feathers, crested feathers in the head, and it look like a big hen, and the tail is long. Similarly, you give certain information for the person. In this, another bird came in the example, hen or a cock, which is very familiar all around the world. The one and only bird who is very familiar after dying. Chicken is more familiar than cock or hen. It is not familiar while it is living in the world. After dying, the entire creation will celebrate of this bird. Chicken leg, chicken roast, chicken shawai, chicken shawarma. Everything will be coming in the name of chicken. A bird which will be celebrated after the death. So it is a very familiar bird for all the human. So in order to make a person know what is peacock, you give another bird which is similar. I cannot say completely similar for the understanding. I just made an example. So example should be universal or should be much familiar than the thing which is going to be identified through example. So here a peacock is being identified through a hen or a cock because it is also a bird having some crest in the head and everything, etc., etc. But long feather is not there for any bird in this universe. So it is not very easy to make somebody understand that a bird which has having a long tail or long feather, even though example should be universal. Everybody should know what is a cock or a hen. Similarly, when you want to show somebody through example, you quote an example which is familiar to the person. You cannot quote an example which is not familiar for the person. Dosha, a famous South Indian dish. It will be like a pie, which is not sweetened, only by fermented rice pasta. But it will have the shape of a pie, that's all. A simple thin pie. How it seems to be like that, dosa will also appear. But dosha is not sweetened. It is totally made of fermented rice pasta, added some lentils also. But first time, if you want to make somebody familiar about dosa and who is familiar with the pie, we can give at least the shape of the dosa will be in the shape of the pie. And pie is sweetened, but the dosa is not sweetened. Dosa is made of fermented pasta, but it will appear like a pie. So the example should be always familiar for the listener. Here also that rule is being obeyed and proceeded. In Nidarshanam, an example, how can we account all the individual souls and getting connected with the ultimate unlimited Brahman? How can we get connected? So here it is told like that Atma, the unlimited soul, is Akashavad. Agasham means space. Space is always unlimited and one. You can make a different space only by creating a wall or a block between the space. Still, the space didn't divide it into two. Space is one. But for the identification, we call this space that space. Like in a house, there is only one space. But when we construct four walls, it becomes a compound. Inside, again, we construct different walls and it is been separated from one by one. This is my kitchen. This is my library. This is my bedroom. This is my toilet. This is my work area. All these things are made in one single space, just constructing simple walls. Correct? The space is always one and the same. Only point is we just construct certain walls and give some names in between these walls. Here also, Atma, the Brahman, which is unlimited, is always much less similar to space. Space is the first product which came out of this unlimited Brahman. So all the characteristics containing for the Brahman is also there for the space. The space is formless. The space is unlimited. The space is always subtle. Space is ready to accommodate everything in the creation. All these characteristics, in fact, came out of Atman only. Atman having all these characteristics, the space also have all these characteristics. But space is familiar for all of us. Simply the space, stomach space being there, I can eat something and it will stay there. There is a space in the world and there is a small house. There are spaces for everybody. When I say in plural, one single space are being separated by different things so that it is called spaces. Pond is accommodated in one space. Ocean is accommodated in another space. Europe is accommodated in one small place. US is accommodated in another place. All the continents and also all the countries, oceans, stars, everything is obtaining in different places. In one single space, due to their presence, we divide them into different spaces. For example, when we say space, we look at the sky always. This is also space where I am sitting and where I am dealing the empirical life. So space is not only on the top, everywhere it is space. And space can accommodate everything. This is the another characteristic, unique characteristic of the space which is there for the Atman. So space is there, okay? Atma hi agashavat jivaihi. The the intrinsic nature of an individual is like the space, and the space is made into divisions by how gadakashaihi iva udidaha. The gadakasha space inside the vessel or a pot is called gadakasha. Even though the one and only consciousness which is supreme, which is in the form of happiness, which is Satyam, the truth, and the eternal. That is the intrinsic nature of Brahman. That Brahman being one and only Brahman in the world, how it is possible of the birth of individual souls, that is being accounted, made clear through some logic. In one single space, you keep several pots, and every pot will have a particular space inside that. Now we have different spaces in one single space. By keeping different pots in one single space, every pot has certain amount of pot, and the pot belly is there, and there is a space inside that pot belly. That entire space is being divided by keeping different pots. And different pots are in big size, some are in small size, some are in tiny size, some are in a lengthened size. According to that, the space will be also differ. But all are having certain space along with them individually. This is how we should take all the individual forms, names and forms in the world. When I say tree need a space to grow and to get to yield the fruits. That's called tree space. When I say an engineer who is constructing the house need a space, the engineer should also need a space in order to occupy himself and to make the house. So everything which is present in this creation is occupying in their own space. So that space become different in the eyes of a person who accept creation or who accept his own existence as an individual. But from the standpoint of ultimate reality, the one and only space is being divided according to the presence of the different pots, and those pots are having different space in their belly, and those spaces are being divided by the presence of different pots, one pot after another pot after another pot. Because of the presence of different pots, there are different spaces in this world. Really, there is only one space, and in one space, everything is accommodated, and so that we can see different pots having different spaces. Similarly, the consciousness is one and only sentient thing in the world, and it is subtle in nature. It is vast, pervading in nature. It is the only reality in the world. In the reality, there are superimposition of different forms, and that form seems to be sentient. But they get divided when the superimposition happens. In one single consciousness, different names and forms are being seen, but they are superimposition, and they seems to be divided or separate each other, and they separately exist in the world. Like, there is a cow, there is a dog, there is a deer, there is a lion, there are human beings. In fact, everything should count in so many numbers. There are deer, there are lions, there are peacocks, there are hens, there are hen. Similarly, there are human beings. Every living being is separate from one to another. It doesn't mean that they are individually a soul. The soul is one due to the presence of the pot in one single space. We divided every pot space. Similarly, in one single consciousness, every life form, every name and form in different bodies like a dog body, cat body, elephant body, human being body, all these bodies are much less similar to pots. How the pots became individual, similarly, even though the consciousness is one and the same, it seems to be different from one to one due to the presence of different life forms. This is the meaning, and it is a very beautiful logic to understand what is the difference between the different souls and the ultimate soul. Gadadivaccha Sangadehi Jatau Etat Nidarshanam. Similarly, Gadadivat, in the form of pot, different pots are kept inside the space. Similarly, in the form of life forms, sentient and insentient, different things are kept in the space. And all the names and forms are mere superimposition, the one and only space appearing in different name and forms seems to be individual Atma or individual soul. Soul is a word which is used only for the sake of understanding. There is no name called soul for the Atma. Atma should be Atma. But we are familiar with the word souls. So all the names and forms in the creation, human beings, cats, dogs, trees, animals, plants, all are just names and forms, are being equated in the form of different parts. But where the pots are appearing, existing in one single space, and in that single space, due to the presence of different pots, the space itself got divided as though long space, which which pot is very long from the tip to the bottom will have long space. In a small dwarf size pot, only very small size. So, according to the pots, the land, the space is being divided. Similarly, the one and only Atman, even though it is the reality, due to the presence of the different names and forms which are in the form of human beings, birds, animals, ocean, stars, etc., etc., we have to account all kinds of names and forms, not only the life forms, non-life forms also. Means insentient living beings also in a group, so that from where, how can I account all these things? So here it is told it should be equated as the pots appearing in the one single space. Similarly, every name and form is to be accounted in one single yuga. Yuga means in in a in a timing. Everything should be accounted in one single Atman, which is imperishable, which is unlimited, which is beyond all kinds of imaginations, which is the base of all names and forms, so that after knowing the reality, the confusion starts melting. Slowly, the confusion will go. Not immediately, the confusion will not go because there is no sadhagatam for everybody. When you are prepared, when the knowledge take place, immediately your ignorance will go. When we are not prepared, the flow of the Shastram will continue, and one day this flow will take away all kinds of impurities. So that it is not very easy to understand for an ordinary person who believe that individual souls are true. That is why we have different bodies. We are having human bodies, we are having dog bodies, we are having birds' bodies, we are having different insentient things like, steels are there, cement is there, the instruments are there. They are all lying in in different things and in a group, but they are insentient. They cannot move, they cannot walk, but they are up. Accounting the both, what is the reality about the presence of Atman? Gadadivacha Sanghadaihi. Every name and form should be understood as Sanghadaihi, should be understood as one single heap or one single group. Sanghadaihi. Jatau Yetat Nidarshanam. In one society, they are all together. There are only two divisions in the entire world. One is discriminate, other is indiscriminate. Viveki, Aviveki. There is no religions, there is no such caste, etc., etc. There are only two religions. One is enlightened religion, other is non-enlightened religion. Non-enlightened people are many. It is not very easy to teach Vedanta for everybody. Vedanta don't help to get any money. In fact, after studying Vedanta, your money get lost in different ways. Because Vedanta is making the person to know the reality and get rid of this birth. While all other things in the world are making the person to enjoy and to go through that again and again, the same enjoyments. So it is told here, Sangadaihi Jatau Etat Nidarshanam. How the pots are being occupied in the one single space and having same different spaces. Similarly, here now also, we need to understand all the pots are having the base on something which is real. Pots are, even though appearing as having birth and death, there is no birth and death for that pot. Gadadivacha Sangadehi Jato Etat Nidarshanam. Sangatam means group, Kutam. In the in the in the creation, different things are having large in numbers. For example, if you take the crow is large in numbers in the creation. Whales are large in numbers in the creation. Elephants are large in number in the creation. Snakes are also large in number in the creation. For all of them, it is not very easy to make them understand I am the Supreme Brahman, and right now itself I can open my uh, bhavam that I am Brahman and live a life according to that. But for the time being, I will keep all these things inside a box and keep it aside. Now I will continue as a samsari and one who is struggling to get out of this is a samsari. A samsari is not interested in any reality about oneself or the world. Samsari is only interested in the immediate benefits. So rituals, meditation, prayers can bring lot of immediate results. And Vedanta is not a subject to understand for everybody. Most of the people will fall under pray as doing certain jobs in the karma kanta and enjoying whatever they can in that time. They are not interested in the unlimited happiness, which is told in the scriptures or the last portion of us. They are not interested other than buying certain things in the life in order to become happy. That is why he started with Gadadivacha Sankadehi Jatau Yetat Nidarshanam. Like the pot being appearing in front of you, similarly, Jatau Yetat Nidarshanam. This will be the sentence which can give more clarify regarding the last two verses. First verse told that the indiscrimination of a personality. He himself thought that he is going to some other place. The uh, other verse says that there is no confusion from the ultimate reality. If you come to know the ultimate reality being existing there, that itself is enough in order to help yourself while dealing empirically. One needs to focus on to the reality. One need to focus on to the reality so that one can get rid of from the names and forms which are unreal. But by birth itself, I take myself that all the names and forms are unreal. All the names and forms are real. So this is the example for the Brahman which got birth and which is like a pot space. Pot space is not a space which is inside the biggest space, but we created a pot space by creating a pot. This is the second verse meaning, and now the third verse. What is the third verse? I will go through certain Bhashya sentences. It will be nice. The third verse Bhashya, not the fourth verse, third verse Bhashya. Sorry. So the verse number third, I already told you the meaning. Now we'll go through the Bhashya. Atma Paraha. Ultimate. Our what is called as soul is ultimate. This is the main purpose of Vedanta. Vedanta is interested to make somebody know you are not a life form or a human body. You are the ultimate consciousness. This ultimate consciousness is always referred through one single word, paraha. Para, the ultimate thing to be achieved in one's life. There is no really achievement in order by knowing what is I am, who I am. That itself is the achievement, but nobody put effort or nobody is ready or nobody is eligible. Anadhikaritvat, not being not being qualified in order to listen Vedanta, most of the people are behind external happiness, mostly. But for some, kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanam aichat. Kathopanishad says that. Very few people go beyond all the social norms and will try to see their own Atman by through teachings and studies and meditations. According to the according to the advice of a teacher. Yasmad Agashavat Sukshmaha. All the features of the Akasha, the space which is transferred from the uh, into ultimate reality. So that is being told here. Yasmat Akashavat Sukshmaha. All the features are pertaining to the unlimited Brahman. What are they? Sukshmaha. subtleness, niravayavaha, partless, organ are not there, sarvagataha, all pervading, agashavad. All these features, even though it is there for the space which is perceived through the human eyes, what are the features which we see through the human eye are the features of the Brahman. And we have a clean cut logic. Any character, any characteristics, any features which are pertaining to the cause will appear in the product also. If the fabric is good condition, our shirt will be in good condition. If the fabric is not in good condition, our shirt will not be in a good condition. If the clay is good, the pot will be good. If the gold is good, our ornament will be also shining. If the body is good, I feel certain confidence to deal with people and the world. So always make the body fit, at least walk, do exercise, take proper nutritious food, drink essential water. It will help you to attain a proper body. The age is not really a factor. How you live, what did you eat, how much water you consume, how your thoughts are, everything will join and one single body is. So all these things are the main factors in order to get a best body. So any features which are pertaining to the cause will be also seen in the product. This logic is applied here also. Akasha, space has some features which they got from the cause which is Atma or the unlimited Brahman. Now what? Now we can easily equate. Atma hi agashavad jivaihi gadakashaihi iva udidaha. The individual soul which is seen around us. Atma paraha hi yasmat agashavad sukshmaha niravayavaha sarvagataha agashavad uktaha jivaihi. All the life forms, if they put an inquiry, at least 1 or 2% put an inquiry, then he comes to know that my body inside me is sukshma, niravayavaha, partless, sarvagataha, all pervading, agashavad uktaha jivaihi. All the energy, all these things together, sukshmaha, niravayavaha, sarvagataha, all these features belonging to Akasham is told for the Jiva only. Jiva will have all these features because Jiva is born out of space and space is born out of Brahman. Simply connecting. So whatever characteristics belonging to the Brahman, without changing the nature of Atma, it appears as the Brahman. Without changing its nature, it appears as though individual soul. So that individual soul will also have the capacity of sarvagadaha, niravayavaha, agashavad ukta, jivaihi. Kshetra gadakashaihi iva gadakashatulyaha udidaha uktaha. Saha eka saha eka Akasha samaha paraha atma. Ekaha akashavat samaha. Even though it appears in the form of a dog, in the form of a bird, which is very small, a robin-like size, in the form of a flower, I can see, in the form of crow, in the form of solar system, in the form of different shirt, etc., etc. Everything is going to be accounted. How he told, Gaudabada told, what he told. Kshetrajnaha Kshetrajnaihi Ganakashaihi iva Gadakashatulyaha Udidaha. For the people who are having Kshetrajnaihi Gadakashaihi iva Gadakashatulyaha Udidaha Jiva. When there is a confusion, first they prefer all the women in order to enlighten them, and they go back outside. Similarly, first itself he says that Gadakashihi iva Gadakashatulyam uditaha uktaha. According to the world space, Gadakashatulyaha uditaha uktaha. Saha eka amshaha par atma. From the Gadakasha also, one can see the sunrise or whatever they want to see. Gadakashaha is something equated to the individual soul. Even though it is limited by its body, in reality, the intrinsic soul is similar to the space inside the pot. So, the Atma, the individual soul, evolved into, first of all, the all-pervading Lord being evolved into a individual soul. And I take myself granted, yes, now I am an individual soul who is planted with a lot of, who is surviving with lots of things and seeking happiness outside. But this is not true. I am not an individual soul. Then the real information comes. You are a king and you are not an individual soul. And the last birth also you are a king. So that you have to live like a king. The individual soul himself got the information without asking anybody. The traditional teacher and the scriptures will give the meaning, what is meant by the individual soul. Individual soul is Supreme Brahman. And this Supreme Brahman evolved into soul due to the certain unexpected sadhanas, like, puja, tabas, etc., etc. Chanting somebody's prayer without having lakshyam, without having goal. Everything will accumulate and become a birth. So, individual soul is going behind the bark by enjoying certain things, even though he's in Rishikesh. Okay. Jivatmanam paramartad atmanaha utpindarya utpatyaryaha sruyade Vedanteshu sa mahakashad Gadakashat upastiti kramaha iti paramartadaha abhiprayaha. Once more I will read. Atava Gadakashahi yata akashaha uditaha utpannaha tadaha paraha jivatma bihi utpannaha jivatmanam परमात्मनः उत्पत्तिः या श्रूयते वेदान्तेषु सा महाकाशात् घटाकाश उत्पत्ति समा न परमार्थतः इति आहूयते. Whatever birth we come across through the scriptures should not be taken in real. There is no real birth for any of the individual soul. Those individual souls should be born out from the Akasha, like all the small, big vessels are being occupying in one single space and having certain amount of space inside. The entire space is one and the only thing. Still, I keep certain pots or vessels and I accommodate certain place so that I can put my dishes and keep it in a proper place. So the individual souls are to be taken, looked upon as the pot space containing in one single space. This is the example, and more sentences are there to read. We will see in the next one. Okay. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaah Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshadu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Deshoyam Choparahitah Brahmana Santu Nirbhayah Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.